This is Wretched Radio with Todd Friel.
Here we go.
Let's go talk about the book we all read.
Yeah, you're off the hook.
Take a look, it's in a book.
So many books, so little time.
Okay, just didn't want to step on the line. This is Wretched Radio. NT Wright has a brand new book. As you recall, we've talked about NT Wright in the past, expressing that he is NT wrong on penal substitutionary atonement, which has made a lot of people jump for joy. With the defense, we simply misunderstand NT Wright. Now, is that a possibility? No, but I'll say that it is for the sake of sounding rather sympathetic. Because if you need to read 800 pages of somebody to get it, at the very least, they're guilty of obfuscation. I shouldn't need to read multiple chapters to get where somebody stands on the primary doctrine of penal substitutionary atonement, that Jesus was penalized, punished as our substitution to buy us back. And you can't read the New Testament without seeing that. In fact, I think I got one. I think it was just in my 62 hours of private quiet time just this morning. It was Colossians 1. Actually, there was a verse that was read in church on Sunday morning from Colossians 1. Isn't it funny? You can read the book of Colossians. How many times have you read the book of Colossians? Dozens, 50, 70 times. And you see something and you go, when did they put that in there? Now, if you're okay with continuationism, that wouldn't be a problem. But I see it, and it's like, well, where did that come from? I don't remember that being in there. It is that God has, let me read it because it sounds a whole lot better than the way that I can say it. He has qualified us. For this reason, this is verse 9 of chapter 1. For this reason, since the day we heard of it, do not cease to pray for you, that you will grow in wisdom and spiritual understanding. Because remember, wisdom better than cash. Just think about this for a second, Mom and Dad. How many messages will your child receive today that becoming rich and famous are the most important thing in life? Whether it is overt or subtly. Dozens, maybe hundreds of times. And how many times today will you have the opportunity to say, no, wisdom is more important? I'm telling you, the sheer volume of messages from the world system that get into your kids' ears and eyes, it is a tidal wave. No wonder why our kids are just flying away. The world has had them for a long time, that you may walk worthy of the Lord, fully pleasing, being fruitful in every good work, and increasing in the knowledge of God. We're a thinking faith, not simply a feeling faith. Strengthened with all might, according to his glorious power, for all patience and long-suffering with joy. Giving thanks, here it is, giving thanks to the Father, who has qualified us to be partakers of the inheritance of the saints in light. You have been qualified for an inheritance. Come on, be honest. You've heard about somebody, surprise, or maybe there's even a TV show, that somebody didn't really, they were living a modest life, and all of a sudden they discover, I had a second cousin who put me in the will, and I get all the money. Come on, tell me you don't go, that'd be kind of nice. That's happened for you on a much grander scale. God has done this. He has qualified you for an inheritance because you need to be qualified, and Jesus did it for you. It goes on that we have been qualified for an inheritance of the saints in light. He has delivered us from the power of darkness and conveyed us into the kingdom of his Son in love, in whom we have redemption. We bought back through his blood the forgiveness of sins. There's penal substitutionary atonement. It's everywhere. And to deny it or water it down or come up with a nuanced understanding of it, why? And NT Wright has a tendency to do that. And so I was intrigued to read a review of his latest book from somebody who does not hate NT Wright. Here's what the guy says. I'm not a Wright hater. He likes a lot of what he reads. I like him as a person. And then he says this, but this book is just awful. Just awful. Here's what NT Wright does in this book. Number one, false dichotomies. They're constant throughout the book, according to this reviewer. Here are some artificial either-ors. So see if you can pick up on these. They're somewhat subtle. And I've noticed this is going on a lot these days in evangelical Christianity. It's like, yeah, I kind of see where you're going there. But we miss the reason that it's fundamentally wrong. And then we can be taken downstream with it. See if you can catch these false dichotomies. NT Wright. The human problem is not so much sin, seen as the breaking of moral codes, but rather idolatry and the distortion of genuine humanness it produces. See the false dichotomy? Okay. Our issue, according to the Bible, the plain language of the Bible is what we just heard in Colossians 1. We have been purchased for the forgiveness of sins. There it is. Now, is it true that our sins are idolatry? Yes. Does it distort our humanness? Well, yeah, that happened at the fall. And every time that we participate in sin, we're demonstrating, look, we're broken people. So is he right in saying that sin is idolatry? Yep. You hear people do that, don't you? Sin is putting something else before God and being an idolater. Well, yes, that's true. But what's the problem with that? It's sin to be an idolater. It's a violation of God's law, which takes us back to his first statement. The human problem is not so much sin seen as the breaking of moral codes. That's exactly what idolatry is. And so you get this false, it's either or. No, it's actually both. But primarily, sin is lawlessness. Idolatry is just one of them. See what he did there? Here's another one. The goal is not heaven, but a renewed human vocation within God's renewed creation. Well, we're going to be working in heaven, so it's both, right? Here's another one. Galatians is not about salvation. That letter is about unity. Well, unity is in Galatians chapter 3. Very important verse. It deals with the issue of racism. It deals with the issue of, in this case, Jew and Gentile, which by the way, makes black and white look like patty cake by comparison. Yeah, it's in there, but that's not what the book is about. The book is about you foolish Galatians, who has bewitched you. You are walking in grace, now works. It is a book about salvation by grace alone, faith alone. Oh, yeah, and it also talks about unity. See what he does there? Got me to thinking this happens a lot these days. I've been hearing this type of language a lot from other evangelicals. And I think we just need to be perking up our ears a little bit more. Listen for false dichotomies. Because in this instance, it's both. Number two problem, according to Dogma Doxa. There you go. Got my dog part wrong. Dogma Doxa.blogspot. Again, this is from somebody who likes NT Wright, just saying this is a bad book. It's a caricature. Listen to this. All humans sinned. This is what he writes. All humans sinned, causing God to be angry and to want to kill them, to burn them forever in hell. But Jesus somehow got in the way and took the punishment instead. That's what you and I believe right there. What's he doing? He's caricaturing our belief. See what he did? All humans, this is he's painting a picture of our view. He's committing a debate error. Don't misrepresent somebody's view. If it's wrong, you should be able to state it rightly and then knock it down. Don't build a straw man, and certainly don't make fun of. So this is how we talk. This is NT Wright talking about you and me. All humans sinned, causing God to be angry and want to kill them, to burn them forever in hell. But Jesus somehow got in the way and took the punishment instead. Do you know anybody who talks like that? Me neither. Here's another one. In this view, in other words, your penal substitutionary atonement view, God hates sinners so much that he is determined to punish them, but Jesus more or less happens to get in the way and take the death blow on their behalf. Look, that's so reckless, and that's petty, by the way. And so for anybody who's going to watch or listen to this and go, you're being mean to NT Wright, I think this is being mean to me. He's making fun of what I believe. And by the way, what millions of people who have believed in Orthodox Christianity and penal substitutionary atonement for a long time. Final problem with NT Wright's latest book. How does this stuff, what is the cross all about? What does the cross do? This reviewer said Wright is so vague on how the crucifixion works because he thinks the New Testament is. After reading his book, he says, I still don't know how it works. And that is a problem. Any book that leads you to conclude and go, well, I think he kind of, well, no, he didn't really, because he sort of, and then on page 1242, he sort of seemed to say this. That sort of confusion should not be coming from the pen of a man who has, at least until recently, been esteemed as one of evangelical's finest. Be watching for teaching that isn't, look, it can be profound while being simple. The clarity, the Bible itself is clear. Teaching about the Bible should be likewise. Otherwise, walk by that one on the shelf. This is Wretched Radio. Shout out to our gospel partners. It is your ongoing monthly support that allows us to do Wretched Radio every single day and provide the broadcast, the entire program, for free to anybody on iTunes, Android, or at our website. Thank you for being a gospel partner. If you enjoy or benefit from Wretched Radio, would you please consider joining those partners so that we can continue to preach the gospel? Simply visit wretched.org.